shift. Like 25 We close at 4:30. And you should change and wear. If you don't have any trouble with it, just wear it. But in the middle
We'll call the meeting. Is it on order? Okay. First of all, we have to look at the HVAC bid for the jail. Can I have a
do we
motion?
have to motion to call a meeting in order?
I just called the meeting order.
Oh, I thought we don't have a first and second.
No, not in a special meeting.
Okay, I
We're
don't
not
know.
doing the executive session
Now?
We're not.
Oh, okay.
Your hearing aid's working good?
No.
Oh, okay, well, okay, that's a good idea. I'll read this. Sent this out to the jailer, attorney, and magistrates. I wanted to provide an update on activity at the Grant County Detention Center as we prepare for a special meeting this evening to review the activity as I ask for the indulgence of the court in spending funds to meet Department of Corrections standards. The completion of tasks related to the life safety issues at the facility are nearing completion. As I have worked with service providers, architects, and constructive management team to secure completion of the repairs to the smoke evac system and repair and testing of the sprinkler system. The smoke evac system will be tested this week, and the sprinkler repair completed this week and set for testing. Once complete, the test results will be forwarded to Frankfurt. I will say that I was told by the architect and the contractor that the smoke test had been done, but it wasn't. So anyway, in the area of the HVAC, the jailer and staff identified deficiencies in the systems and sought written proposals for this work. In the essence of time, I recommend that we accept the proposal of Perkins Service in an amount of $32,925, which I have confirmed does include the use of a crane to place the units on the roof. Consistent with the discussion that took place in the special meeting on September 1st, the HVAC units being repaired and replaced are in fact older units, not repaired and replaced in 2015, and not covered under warranty. With regard to plumbing work, given the October date on which DOC has made it clear they will close the facility, absent compliance with physical plant guidelines, and after having conferred with the circuit judge and the Commonwealth's attorney concerning the criticality of meeting the physical plant requirements, I secured a written proposal from Perkins Service this work and received a cost not to exceed $32,000. This was an estimate based on the ability of the contractor to locate fixtures through a distributor or distributors, what we are now, that are antiquated fixtures. Deputy Judge Kimmick, I had him call Kent County Judge Chris Knopfman, he knows him real well, and he's made arrangements for us to be able to go over to the old jail of theirs and get an inventory to see what we can use and need with these salvage fixtures from the Kent County Detention Center located in Covington, with Grant County paying the scrap costs for the metal. This results in significant savings. The exact amount we will not know until the inventory assessment of supplies has been completed. In previous communications with the jailer, he has informed me that other vendors have been contacted for work on the plumbing at the facility and expressed lack of capacity to complete this task based on the difference in plumbing in a corrections facility from a routine plumbing project. Mr. Perkins has assured me he has the ability to complete the assigned task. Given that time is of essence, I am requesting that the physical court take immediate action, declare an emergency, and engage the service of Ron Perkins Service for the HVAC and plumbing project at the detention center. I make this recommendation in full awareness that in the next 3 weeks, we will make a final determination as to the future of the facility. However, throughout the decision-making process, we must remain vigilant to ensure that the facility's physical plant is intact and fully functional, whether for our use for sale to a third party. I will be the first to acknowledge that the repairs we are being called upon to make are costly. But it is equally incumbent upon us to be cognizant of the facts that the significant decay in the physical plant did not occur in the last 6 months, did not occur in the last 18 months. These expenditures are necessitated as a result of several years of neglect and lack of spending to maintain a valuable asset in the county. In conclusion, I would advise we would take the repair costs from the current detention center budget, transferring funds from the reserve as soon as we can confirm actual costs compared to estimates on the plumbing. Magistrates?
I just wanna.
Pull your mic over.
Oh, okay. So what we're saying is we have Ron Perkins doing both the replacing of the HVAC. I mean, he does both plumbing and that.
Yeah, he's going to. We got the bid on HVAC, the low bidder, and the other is emergency fund. To work on with Chris to get all these plumbing problems done.
And so this, the one estimate on the plumbing, are we nixing the idea, or are we going down the path of having those fixtures fabricated by Chipman Steel?
No, he's going to do what he can with the parts. If we have to get, and we may have to get Kim and Steel to, and we'll go that route if Chris and the plumber decide on doing that.
And the earlier comment in regards to Kenton County's facility, it's anticipated that some of those fixtures could be used in our facility. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
And that then.
And I think they'll work, and I believe it will, but it'll help ease our cost, you know.
Including some of the stainless steel panels that are referenced in Mr. Perkins' estimate that would have to be fabricated off-site.
Has Mr. Perkins indicated a timeline on how soon he can get
No.
all these repaired?
No, Mr. Perkins probably can't, and that's not one of the life-threatening issues. Remember
Okay.
that, keep that in mind.
Well, I'm just going by the report.
Well, no, that's life safety issues, like the smoke evac and the sprinkler system. What else?
Well, the smoke evac and the sprinkler system were the two life safety issues, but I think what Mrs. Coldiron is referencing, the Department of Corrections report highlights the plumbing problems as being a major issue.
That's right.
Most of the plumbing problems we can deal with in the housing units that are currently open, and if necessary, we'll have a certificate of occupancy for part of the jail, but not the other part. The Class D area, the area that is vacant now that they're painting in, we would not be able to put prisoners there until the plumbing has been inspected and is fully operational. But they will allow us to continue to remain in operation if we have a contract in place and moving toward completion of the project.
That's what I was trying to say, to explain it too well, my bad.
But we would have to have the, in the felon D area, all of that fixed before the DOC would let us have any state inmates back.
Absolutely.
If we did that.
The Class D area that is there now that is vacant, before the state would ever allow the county to hold any inmates in there, the plumbing has to be brought up to standard.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, that's right. My bad, I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
You're still not speaking into the mic, man.
Okay. But-
Plus, I'm hard of hearing.
And then, so the DOC will approve us coming into the other part, us staying open in the other part.
We would be granted a partial certificate of occupancy, and our population would be decreased. Right now, our cap is 350. If the fiscal court decides to stay in operation beyond the October 8th deadline, then the Department of Corrections would allow us to the jailer to maintain operations as long as the plumbing is under contract, that no new inmates would be able to be moved into that facility from the state or other counties until that project is complete.
I wish we had more bids on the HVAC when we had two. Chris and Troy tried to do the best they could. And I commend them for that, but I don't think too many people want to work on our deal anymore.
So you're actually replacing 4.
You're replacing 4 HVAC units?
Yeah, I'm sorry, 4 HVAC units, old ones, and then one of the compressors in the other. And then we have a new unit that it's nothing to do with the units. I think the prisoners tore up the thermostat, just tore off the wall, you know. And once again, the crane is included in that bid.
What does, this part where it says the loading and unloading of units by the county road department,
Yeah, Steve's going to unload it for him.
is that what it means? Does that mean the crane?
No,
Okay, I
no.
didn't, okay.
No, it just means the units when they come in, yeah. He needed help on that, and I said, we can do that.
How quick can they get the units?
They're ready, available right now. As soon as if we approve this bid tonight, he's gonna go on order them and have them in right away. I made sure they were in stock before we started bidding this. I called and asked him.
So outside of these 2 large ticketed items, looking at the list of other repairs, what would be next as far as total project? Has there been any thought on that, Steve, also? Or just addressing these 2 main ones now?
Jack, what's the question?
I'm just trying to also think ahead, recognizing that we anticipate making a decision within the next 3 weeks as far as whether or not we will continue to operate as a Green County detention center or other options. I'm looking at, these 2 options, the 2 things that you've asked us to vote on tonight are roughly, $72,000, and I'm trying to anticipate, do we think that there's another 20 grand or 100 grand of things that would also still need to be?
I don't know.
No, if you look at the report the jailer, you should have a copy of it. You sent it to everyone electronically. That has a budget attached to it. As you requested at the last meeting, the jailer's office did complete that and send to everyone. And the cost is very nominal to bring the rest of the issues into compliance. The smoky vac system test was estimated at $1,000. There's an exposed wire and a speaker panel. It's $52 plus shipping. So the costs are de minimis to meeting the Department of Correction guidelines once these 2 large ticket items are dealt with. Most of the smoky vac system and the sprinkler has already been taken care of. That was taken out of construction funds.
Okay. And to acknowledge, I did receive, I just didn't see like the total subtotal or anything like that. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any hidden things that.
It was hard for the jailer to try to total up because some things are kind of really in limbo.
Right, and that's understandable as well.
On the ceiling, that comes to, what I'm saying is about $4,000 more, right?
On the what?
On the ceiling pads, need a replacement of the ceiling tiles? They're $450 a pad or a tile at 900 pieces.
Well, I think all the tiles are damaged. I talked to Howard and Chris, and they can't be used again, I don't think, according to
So we're
them.
talking
And they're
about
probably right.
about 4,000 is what,
Well, yeah.
I mean, because these prices aren't extended.
But they may have those at Kenton County.
Excuse me?
They could have those at Kenton County. Enough
Well,
we could use.
that's true. It's the right size. That's a very good point, Howard. Thank you.
And I guess the other question I would have in regards to the behavior of the inmates tearing up the
Thermostat?
thermostats, and then also kicking balls and other items up in the roof to damage these. What type of, in the next 3 weeks or the next 3 years, if we keep this facility open, how is it that he will control these inmates to not tear up this property?
Well,
I mean, because a lot of that was a direct result in that rec room of poor behavior not being properly supervised and or held accountable.
I think they should be criminally charged, and
Like-
that will be restitution that has to be paid. That's what I'd like to see happen, because they tear
Agreed.
up a lot of stuff, and
Get away
if
with
they're
it.
never held accountable for it, why shouldn't they tear it up
good
then?
point,
So,
good point, Lisa.
And so roughly, I mean, it could be every bit of.
I don't know why they do, I mean, I don't understand. There's a lot of good people, but I just don't understand the mentality of tearing up where you're living. I just don't understand kicking it.
Is there any question? Joe, I know restitution from inmates is very difficult to secure, but is there a way that if, as Mrs. Mentor pointed out, if someone tears up the facility and we go take them, criminally charge them, get a court order for restitution, can the money be taken, if someone comes and puts money in their canteen account, can 30% or 40% of it be taken away and used to pay restitution?
What we can do is, first off, if we have to be able to prove that they did it. For example, that room, I don't think had active cameras in there, so there's no way in that particular example of being able to show who it was. But in those cases where we have, magistrates can see me, in the cases that we've had where prisoners have torn things up and we've been able to prove that we charged them criminally, we can make that part of the restitution order in that case. And if they don't abide by it, the court can put them in jail for contempt. We typically will hold conditional discharge time over their head, conditional on them paying the restitution. So I think the fashionable way to go after them is to let them know that if they don't pay it, they go back to jail. If that doesn't work, then we can look at what administrative issues jail heads to be able to go after them because they have on the accounts. I think they come up with some pretty imaginative ways, as I understand, to make sure that that money's not on their account. I prefer to put it in jail that gets their attention back than anything else.
That's what I was doing.
Again, the only reason why I brought that up, as Magistrate Coldarn commented too, is, you know, as we have taken a few tours of the facility, it's clear that the accountability isn't there to behave.
Well,
I just-
I know there are a handful, you know, but,
And you know, I know it's expected of the facility and the
Right.
environment, I mean, it comes with the environment, let's face that.
One of the last questions I have, you had stated, Steve, in the memo that you just read, that some of the monies will come, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Some of the monies that could help pay for this request would come from the detention center's current budget, in addition to their reserve line item,
mainly from reserve,
or our general funds.
reserve, detention center.
So it would technically, this request would still come from their current funding, whether it comes from their general or their reserve within their jail, is that correct?
Do we know what the cash on hand right now is of the jail fund?
It was a couple 100,000, I think, like 300 or so,
Probably.
last week when we met. And of course, we'd have to pay payroll.
Well, it's not that much now, I don't pay what you want. This is where I've got, we're at right now.
on kind of quantifying,
Mhm.
because it'd be 73 tonight roughly. I was thinking 10, and then the paint also.
The well, I was thinking the paint was in the $10,000. Yeah. Which probably, that has not even been paid for yet.
I wouldn't think that
No, that has not.
any of the paint
The
expenses.
paint has not. That will be on the claims list on Monday.
What's that looking like?
I think it's like $2,000, isn't it, Mr. Haynes?
What was that?
The paint at this point, we're at about $2,000?
Yes.
Because that was previously estimated at about 10, was it not?
He has done, he's
still got a lot to paint.
He's done a lot
He's
to
still
paint.
got-
He's done all he can do with what was available on the jail's credit card at the time the work was being completed.
So very, very well could run another 8, is what you're saying.
Chris, do you think it run that high?
8,000.
You think, I know, I never, do you think the paint will run 10,000?
No, no.
We've talked about that meeting, right?
Nowhere near that.
I'd say 4 or 5. Am I too low?
I'd say you're probably right about that.
I think it's up what we talked about.
So we can cut it back by.
I hope that number's way high. It's kind of hard to, you know, the coverage, has the coverage been pretty good? Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like what I've seen. It is pretty good paint. What is it? What brand?
Mouse Park.
Yeah, that's a pretty good paint.
That was the price.
Yeah.
You can only judge it, I don't mean to be, but I so paint, you can only judge it by the square foot of coverage, not by the cost per gallon. If you buy a gallon of paint for $10 and only covers 50 square feet, you don't have a good deal. You may pay 30 and cover 400 square feet. And I think he's got some good, I think Chris did a good job getting the good paint.
Well,
I mean,
not knowing the route that we're going this year.
Any more questions?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we're having any alternatives at this point. Is there any alternatives at this point? Is this?
No.
To do nothing and close the doors and not. I mean, that's the other alternative,
That's correct.
to not adhere to DOC compliance with the facility while we have inmates. That's the other alternative.
What?
Not, Ms. Coldiron was expressing to me that, you know, at this point in time, it's kind of like, we haven't officially, you know, declared for sure this is what we're doing, and this is where our inmates are going, whether they're staying or going, and it's somewhat difficult to approve, not have, you know, fully committed one way or the other just yet. And so that she was asking for another alternative, Judge, and I said, well, the only other alternative at this point is to not be DOC compliant, and, correct? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that it's kind of ironic that the DOC has come down hard on us, and they probably should. But in defense of Chris and myself, this has been going on for 6 years.
Probably longer than
The
that,
smoking
sir.
back system, I don't know why they didn't do something about that. They would come and inspect the jail, and there's nothing in the reports about that at all. I've been checking all the reports. Now, all of a sudden, you know, of course, we do want it to be safe for the prisoners.
Of course,
But it was
right.
like that 5 years ago under Terry Peoples.
Well, and I also think that what's at play is a new commissioner is involved, and from what I heard, we were gonna be going down this path, whether or not this administration was looking.
Oh,
to do
absolutely.
something
You're right.
Or
You're
not,
right
because
about
I felt
that.
like I don't know the prior commissioner, but this individual wants to ensure things are,
It was a woman. Did you know her? Junior? Yeah.
I don't, do
And
not.
I just don't know how a guy that's inspecting the jail go through and give it a clean bill of health. When I had the jail inspected, right before I took office, Chris, and I had 7 pages of things that were wrong with the jail. I had it inspected, and you know, once again, that's before Chris took office and me, and it'd been past inspection for 4 years.
So Judge, you are asking to declare, emergency, is that what you're,
On the plumbing.
on the plumbing portion?
And I'll be honest, I don't think it'll be anywhere near 32,000. I don't. But, you know, we need to kind of give y'all a top figure. I'm gonna be half that. I may be wrong. I may have to eat my words on that. Hope it'd be half.
Did you say it was just on the plumbing tonight or both, HVAC too?
Vote would be on both, but you would only have to declare the emergency on the plumbing because the jailer did seek written proposals on the HVAC. He sought it from 6 vendors, only 2 responded, and you're accepting the lowest bid.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, if you're replacing the 4, I mean, when we went back and replaced that, what, 8?
Yes,
I mean, you're comparable or less. So